Welcome to the Trudgery, a zone for true horror stories, disturbing encounters, and twisted tales that were never meant to be heard. Until now.
The following cases are based on a true story. The first Christmas card I got from my stalker was signed with the name I only hear when I'm asleep. My name is DEVIN DUNHAM, and I work the line at a bistro that stays open when most people are home opening presents. 12-hour shifts, hot pans, burn scars that never fade. You learn to keep your head down, move fast, and not be seen. That's what I thought anyway. It started the week before Christmas, during a double shift. I came out back for a smoke at 1 a.m, apron still on, hands shaking from adrenaline and caffeine. Someone had shoved a card into my coat pocket, red envelope. No stamp, no handwriting on the front. Inside was a simple message. You worked too hard to be this alone. No name, no threat, just familiarity. I told myself it was a prank. Kitchens breed weird humor. I tossed it in the trash and went back to plating scallops. I didn't notice the man watching through the alley gate. The second card came 3 nights later, tucked under my windshield wiper. Burn on your left wrist is healing wrong. Use aloe. That one scared me. I hadn't told anyone about the burn. I'd gotten it during a rush when a sauté pan slipped. I wore long sleeves now. Nobody had seen it. I started walking home instead of taking the bus. Changed my route. Looked over my shoulder. Christmas lights flickered in the apartment windows as I passed. Families inside. Warmth I didn't belong to. That's when I started noticing him. Tall, gray Scully, standing too still at the end of the block, always looking at his phone when I glanced back. I never saw his face. On Christmas Eve, we closed early. The owner handed out envelopes, cash bonuses, forced smiles. I clocked out at 10:30 p.m. The card was waiting on my locker. Green this time. You don't have to go home if you don't want to. I felt sick. I reported it to the manager. He shrugged, said unless there was a threat, there wasn't much to do. Cops don't come for cards. Outside, snow started falling, soft and quiet. I heard footsteps behind me.
Devin,
The man said. I turned. He stood under the streetlight, face still half in shadow. Same Scully, same stillness.
I just want to talk,
He said.
It's Christmas.
Stay back, I said, voice shaking. I don't know you. He smiled. Sad, almost kind.
I know you, he said. I know when you skip meals. I know you hum when you're stressed. I know you check the walk-in twice before locking up.
My stomach dropped. He took a step closer.
I watch the cameras.
He said.
They don't cover the alley.
I ran, didn't look back. Slipped once, caught myself on a parked car. My heart hammered like it wanted out. I burst into my apartment and locked the door, hands shaking so bad I dropped my keys. I thought I was safe. Then I saw the card on my kitchen table. White envelope.
I already know where you live.
I had called the police. This time they came. They searched the building, the alley, the restaurant. No sign of him. But the officer paused at my window.
Do you live alone?
He asked. Yes, he nodded slowly.
Your fire escape window was unlocked.
They caught him 2 days later. Name, Caleb Morse, former security contractor. Fired 6 months ago. Had access to multiple buildings downtown, including my restaurant. In his apartment, they found photos of me smoking in the alley, walking home, sleeping on the bus, and a stack of Christmas cards, all addressed to Devin, all written in the same careful handwriting, except one, the last one, written shakier, angrier.
If I can't watch you, no one should.
They say he confessed. They say he was obsessed, not supernatural. But here's the thing. On Christmas morning, after he was arrested, I woke up to a card slid under my door. No handwriting, just my name, printed perfectly. The police say it must have been placed there before his arrest. But I'd been home all night, and I locked my door. Now I sleep with the lights on, and every time I hear the sizzle of a pan, I swear someone is breathing just behind me, waiting to wrap me like a gift. I disappeared from my own apartment on New Year's Eve, and no one believes I was ever there. Chandler, Arizona looks ordinary until the storm hit, and I realized some rooms don't exist until they do. My name is Bianca Dunn. According to the police, I simply vanished. But that's not what happened. It started 2 nights before New Year's. The monsoon had finally hit, turning streets into rivers and hammering the windows like an angry drum. My roommate, Destiny, was out, and I was alone scrolling through old Chandler newspapers when I noticed something strange. The guest room door, the one we never used, was slightly ajar. That room had been empty for months. Boxes stacked high, furniture wrapped in plastic. I was sure I had locked it, but there it was, creaking softly. I stepped closer. A chill ran down my spine, the kind you don't get from a draft or a summer storm. The floorboards groaned as I pushed the door open, and the room wasn't empty. A girl was inside, or maybe it was me. Same height, same hair, same terrified expression. My voice failed me. She, or I, raised a finger to her lips. I stumbled back. When I blinked, the room was empty again. Only the boxes, only dust, only the storm outside. I tried to tell Destiny, but she laughed it off, giving me a mean side eye. Bianca, you're stressed. It's New Year's. The rain, just relax. But I couldn't. Every night the guest room shifted slightly, like it existed on a different angle of reality. And every night the girl appeared, closer than before. And every night I started to feel smaller, less real. On New Year's Eve, I decided to record it. The monsoon was at its peak, wind rattling windows, thunder rolling across the valley. Midnight was approaching, and I set my phone to film the living room. When the clock struck 12, I heard the creak of the guest room door. I held my breath. And then I saw her. The girl stood fully in the doorway. She smiled at me.
This is for the unheard, the unseen, and the unsolved,
she declared. Her voice was mine, vibrating through my chest. Before I could scream, she stepped forward, and the room behind her stretched into endless darkness. Walls floating, furniture suspended mid-air, rain trapped in a looping storm outside. When she moved, I felt nothing, no weight, no presence. I tried to run. My hands grabbed at the floor, the couch, the door frame, but I passed through everything. I was falling through myself, through the apartment, through the city. Destiny returned the next morning. She found the apartment normal. The guest room door was sealed. My boxes stacked neatly. The storm had passed, streets glistening under the January sun. The police found no evidence. Destiny said, she's probably out celebrating. It's New Year's. Bianca's always disappearing into her own world. Sometimes, late at night, I see my reflection in windows, mirrors, puddles left by rare monsoon rains. I'm always looking back, eyes wide, finger raised to my lips. I don't know if I'm gone or still here. All I know is the room waits, somewhere between floors, between walls, in the Chandler, Arizona, that no map can show. And if you ever find yourself alone during a storm, in an apartment you thought you knew, remember, it's easy to disappear into the spaces no one notices. Or maybe this is just a New Year's fever dream. Cheers. The last fare I picked up on New Year's Eve knew my name, and I'd never told him. My name is Pierre Bertrand, and I've been driving a taxi in the city for 11 years. Long enough to know which streets flood when it rains, which bars let people drink past midnight, and which passengers don't want to be remembered. New Year's Eve is always chaos. Drunks, fireworks, sirens bleeding into music. I started my shift at 6 p.m., telling myself I'd be done by 2. Home before the hangover crowds turned ugly. I was wrong. At 11:47 p.m., just 13 minutes before midnight, I was idling near the river when the app pinged. No pickup address, just a pin drop in the middle of Pier 9, an area closed for construction after a fatal accident last winter. I should have declined it, but the fare was prepaid in cash, and the name attached to it was blank. Rare. I drove anyway. The pier lights were half out, reflecting off black water. Wind rattled loose fencing, and standing at the end of the dock was a man in a dark coat. No hat, no gloves, like the cold didn't apply to him. He opened the back door and said, "Happy New Year, Pierre." I checked my mirror. "Do I know you?" "No," he said, "but I know you." He gave me an address across town, an old residential block near the cemetery. His voice was calm, polite, professional, the kind that made you forget to ask questions. Traffic crawled. Fireworks began popping early, muffled by fog. That's when he started talking about my job. "You drive nights because days remind you of her," he said. My hands tightened on the wheel. "Your wife," he continued. "She hated this shift. Said it would get you killed." I told him to get out. He smiled in the mirror. "You didn't stop driving after she died." "That's interesting." I hadn't told anyone. I tried to radio dispatch. Static. The meter was running backward. Each block we passed ticked down, not up. "You remember the man on 3rd Street, he said. 2 years ago, drunk, bleeding. You didn't call it in." I swallowed. I had found him slumped in the back seat after a fare. I panicked, dropped him at the ER entrance, drove off before anyone saw. "He lived," the man said, "but someone else didn't." Fireworks exploded overhead, lighting his face for the first time. He looked normal, too normal. Late 40s, office job tired, the kind of man you'd never remember. "That's not my fault," I said. "True," he replied, "but it's part of the record." We reached the address. It wasn't a house. It was a dead end. Taped off with a police ribbon, a memorial still stood on the sidewalk. Wilted flowers, a photograph bleached by a winter sun, my wife's photograph. "This isn't your stop," I said, my voice shaking. "No," he agreed, "it's yours." The clock on the dash rolled over. 11:59. "I don't understand," I whispered. He leaned forward. "New Year's is about accounting. Who made it? Who didn't? Who slipped through?" "The door's locked." "Open them," I yelled. He placed a hand on the shoulder of my seat. Solid, warm. "You were supposed to die here," he said gently. "Drunk driver, red light. January 1st, 3 years ago." My chest tightened. That night, I'd taken a different route, a last-minute fare. "You took someone else instead," he said. "Young woman, back seat. She died on impact." Fireworks erupted like gunshots. Midnight. The doors unlocked. The man stepped out, straightened his coat. "Get home safe, Pierre," he said. "You've borrowed enough time." I turned to say something, anything. He was gone. Police reports later called it a glitch. No fare logged. No passenger footage. The dash cam corrupted at 11:58 p.m. But the memorial was real. So was the guilt. I still drive nights. But every New Year's Eve, I stop at 11:45. Because somewhere out there, someone is still keeping count. If nothing changes, then nothing changes. And I don't want to be in the car when the meter runs backward again. They said I unalived my neighbor while I was asleep. But the scariest part is that the evidence says I was awake. My name is Park KWANG-SU. Most people call me Kwang. I'm a carpenter, have been for 20 years. I built cabinets, staircases, cribs, things meant to last, things meant to keep people safe. That's why, when the police showed up at my door 3 days before Christmas, I thought they were at the wrong house. It was snowing hard, the kind that swallows sound. I remember because I'd been sanding a cedar door frame, listening to old carols on the radio. The knock came at exactly 3:33 a.m. They asked me where I was between midnight and 1. I told them the truth. I was asleep. The victim was my upstairs neighbor, Mr. Han, 68 years old, retired, quiet, the kind of man who left tangerines outside doors during the holidays. He'd been found expired in the alley behind our building. Front porch, Frauma, the means, they said, was a carpenter's tool, mine. They found it wrapped in a red cloth, hidden behind a stack of lumber in my workshop downstairs. I didn't remember touching it. I didn't remember leaving my apartment. But 3 neighbors said they saw me that night. They described me perfectly, barefoot, pajama pants, carpenter's jacket over a t-shirt, walking slowly like I was counting steps. One of them said my eyes were open but empty. I've sleepwalked before. Nothing dramatic, just standing in doorways. Once I woke up holding a tape measure in the kitchen. Doctors called it stress. Long hours, holiday deadlines, normal things. But this was different. The police showed me security footage from the corner store down the street. The timestamp read 12:42 a.m. There I was, me, walking past the store window, snow collecting in my hair. In my hand was the tool. I stopped in front of the glass and smiled. I don't smile in my sleep. They let me go for now. Circumstantial evidence, no prior arrests, no confession. But everyone in the building stopped looking me in the eye. Christmas lights flickered in the hallways. Someone had taped bells to the stairwell railing. Every time I passed, they rang softly. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at my workbench, carving a small wooden reindeer for my niece. The radio played low. Midnight crept closer. At 12:07, the bells outside rang. Not the stairwell ones, the bells from the old church 3 blocks away. They hadn't worked in years. Then I heard a voice. So close it felt like breath against my ear.
Can you hear the bells?
I woke up in the alley. Snow soaked my clothes. My hands were numb. In front of me lay a half-finished wooden reindeer, cracked clean down the middle. I ran. Back in my apartment, my bed was untouched. My phone showed I'd walked over 4,000 steps since midnight. On my workbench sat something new, a small wooden bell, perfectly carved. I don't remember making it. I went to a sleep clinic the next day. Electrodes, cameras, doctors watching from behind glass. They told me to relax. I fell asleep at 11:58 p.m. At 12:14, my eyes opened. My heart rate stayed calm, my breathing steady. But my brain activity changed. The doctor later said it was as if another pattern overlaid my own. I sat up, stood, and began carving. Not the block of wood they'd given me, but the arm of the chair. I carved bells, over and over. When a nurse spoke to me, I turned my head and said clearly, "He's cold. He shouldn't be alone." I don't know who he was, but the bells outside the clinic began to ring. There are no churches near that building. They arrested me again on Christmas Eve. Another body. This time, a homeless man found beneath the old church bell tower. No tools this time, just shattered bone, and a wooden bell placed carefully on his chest. The carving matched mine, tool marks and all. I begged them to keep me awake. They tried. Caffeine, lights, conversation. At 12:03 a.m., my head dropped forward. At 12:04, the bells rang. At 12:05, every camera in the station went dark. I remember this part. I remember standing. I remember the cold. I remember following the sound. The bells weren't above me. They were inside the wood, inside every beam, every door frame, every old nail-driven board in the city. I understood then. I'm a carpenter. I work with bones. Buildings remember what they hold. And something trapped in the old church, something buried in the bell tower's frame, had learned my hands, learned my sleep. They found me at dawn, kneeling in the snow. In my hands was the final bell, carved from the beam, taken out of the church during renovations years ago. The same beam that crushed 3 men when the tower collapsed in 1987. The same beam I'd salvaged, the same wood now humming softly in my palms. The charges were dropped. Insufficient evidence, mental health concerns. They barred me from woodworking, from tools, from sleep medication. But every night, just after midnight, I hear it. Soft, patient, wood calling to wood. And somewhere in the dark, something asks me again,
Can you hear the bells?
The police say I called 911 from my classroom after midnights, but I was alone in my apartment, packing for a future I almost didn't get to have. My name is Holly Lawler. I'm a middle school teacher. English, 7th grade. The kind who stays late to help kids rewrite essays and keeps granola bars in her desk drawer for the ones who forget lunch. People say I'm kind, resourceful. I hope that's true. I was supposed to quit this year. I'd spent the fall delivering groceries at night to save money, filling sketchbooks between shifts, planning to attend art school in the fall. A clean break, a new life, a new me. New Year's was going to be the line between them. At 11:40 p.m., I was in my apartment, surrounded by half-packed boxes, sketch pads stacked neatly, teaching supplies in a donation pile. I'd poured myself a rare glass of champagne and turned off the TV. Fireworks made my windows tremble. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored it. Then it buzzed again. Voicemail. I almost didn't listen. Almost. But teachers get used to listening to parents, to kids, to problems that start small and get dangerous if you ignore them. The voicemail was short.
Holly,
A man said quietly.
if you're not at school, don't go back. I laughed
Out loud, nervous, reflexive. On the wrong side of stupid, I muttered, and deleted it. At midnight, my phone lit up with texts. Friends, family, kids who shouldn't have my number wishing me Happy New Year. I replied to a few, then sat on the floor, back against the couch, thinking about oil paints and studio light, and how terrifying it felt to start over at 32. At 12:06 a.m., my phone rang again. This time, it was the school district. Robocall,
Emergency alert.
the recorded voice said.
Lockdown initiated at Lincoln Middle School. Police en route.
My stomach dropped. I called the number back. Busy. I drove, I don't know why. Instinct, maybe, or guilt. Teachers don't stop being teachers just because they've packed a box. The streets were nearly empty. Fireworks, smoke hanging low like fog. Police cars screamed past me near the school. Yellow tape already up. I parked and ran. An officer stopped me hard, hand on my shoulder. I'm a teacher here, I said, breathless. What's happening? He looked confused. Ma'am, we got a 911 call. Female voice. Said there was a man in classroom 214. Said he had a weapon. My classroom 214. And? I asked. He hesitated. We didn't find anyone. They let me inside after 30 minutes. The building felt wrong, too quiet. Fluorescent lights humming like insects. My footsteps echoed down the hall. Classroom 214's door was open. My desk lamp was on. I never leave it on. On my desk sat my red grading notebook. Open, a pen resting neatly across the page. The page wasn't student work. It was a list. Times, dates, names, all students who had struggled this year. Kids I'd worried about. Kids I'd written notes about. Kids who had been flagged by counselors, administrators, sometimes police. At the bottom of the page was a sentence written in careful block letters.
You were supposed to be here.
The officer cursed under his breath. They pulled security footage. At 12:01 a.m., my classroom door opened. The camera glitched, just for a second. When it came back, someone was standing at my desk. From the back, they looked like me. Same coat, same hair pulled back, same posture, slightly hunched, like I get when I'm tired. At 12:02, the camera cut out completely. The 911 call timestamp matched exactly. They asked me if I'd ever slept at the school, if I'd ever joked about being there too much, if I'd ever felt torn. Doesn't every public school teacher? I didn't sleep that night, or the next. The police ruled it a hoax, a prank using voice synthesis. No suspect, no weapon found. Case closed, but I know my voice. The cadence, the pauses, the way it said my name. I went back to my apartment and found something missing. One sketchbook, the newest one. The one where I'd drawn my classroom over and over, trying to remember it correctly so I could finally let it go. I quit teaching in June. I start art school this fall. I don't deliver anymore. But sometimes, just after midnight, my phone buzzes with a voicemail that never fully downloads. No sound, just a timestamp, 12:02 a.m. I don't listen. I've learned something about kindness. It can be mistaken for permission, about being resourceful. It means knowing when not to go back. Because whatever stood in my classroom that night wasn't trying to hurt anyone. It was trying to keep me there. And this time, I chose the door. If you enjoyed the video, press that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Stay tuned for more great stories.